DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, I hope you're well. It is Sunday, and I'm walking around on the grounds here. Yeah, it's actually quite. It's actually quite cool, but without being cold. It's about 13, 14 Celsius, but in the morning, every morning now, it is in single digits. Oh, the heat pump is working, and I was told that it always pretty much brings 10 degrees lower than the outside temperature. I mean, that's worth what it's worth, but I mean, it is a very nice cool breeze, but since it's 14, nobody wants that. Yeah, so the trees, well, our trees here have not lost their leaves that much, but in the street across from us, they're all kind of yellowish orange. You'll notice, at least those who live in North America, and particularly in New England, Quebec, that part of the region, it's not like we get that vibrant red color. There are parts of the country that do, but here, no. It's kind of like that's pretty much it. What you see in front, it kind of gets that color, and then the leaves fall. So yeah, it's nice, but it's not. If you've been like in the eastern townships in Canada or New England or certain places, you know what it is when it's fall. It is incredibly beautiful. But that's just the way it is. So it's been a difficult week. Yeah. Mrs. DC, in the beginning of the week, started a persistent cough, almost COVID-like. If you had what we used to call the COVID cough, and which didn't stop, and she's slightly asthmatic. Well, so she has to breathe in those Ventolin type powders or something a few times a day, and it kind of exacerbated the whole thing. That's the nut tree, and it is also slowly, the leaves are coming down. So yeah, and once in the middle of the night, it was so bad that she was choking, basically. And it managed to get it under control. But she did go for a medical examination. And right now, until Tuesday or something, she's has to take cortisone pills, well, a derivative of cortisones, and so anti-inflammations to keep it under control. And it's working, though. I like to say pills and prayers, the double P. I mean, some people like this. I do know a few people that'll, many years ago actually, but some people still are kind of like Christian Scientists, I was going to say, not, and others like that, but that say, oh, you don't have to take medicine. Well, medicine was, I was almost going to say, medicine was given to us for a reason. And that's dirty. So the pills work well. It's helping. It certainly is. But yeah, it was a hard week. We had been expecting, to have the kids and grandkids over, because over here in Switzerland, there's not only a spring break, there's an autumn break. It is usually sometime in October. It's earlier this year. Usually it leads into the end of October. But anyway, and so none of us were, basically we were not in a position, to have grandkids over when she was sick like that. So yeah, so it was one of those, I was only going to say failed vacations, but we're retired, so there's no, as I've said many times, There's no actual vacation or days off, you know. They're all days off. That's what people like to tell us all the time. But you know something? It's not quite true. When you're retired, I was almost going to say when you're retired, unemployed, or anything, you will nevertheless find your rhythm. And many of us, like in my case, of the 5-day week, I've got things that I do on every day pretty much. And that gives a rhythm to the day. Yeah, and it's important. It's important not to just float around in nothingness. Today over at church, I was the cameraman again, because we share actually the filming or whatever. We still call it filming, but taping. We still call it taping. The guy who does it with me, he was away for a couple weeks, so I did it. It was interesting today though, because it was a pastor from an organization that works very much for, well, basically I was going to say different social works. And as he was saying today, you know, it's just there's one thing that's important, and I agree very much what he says. Many people are allergic, Christians included. Many people are allergic to organized religion. That sometimes some will tend to try and take over your life. Well, of course, you know, there's truth to that, but actually I was going to say there's a truth to pretty much any of those organized religions. Have you ever seen a trade union? Have you ever been in a political party? And it doesn't have to be left, and it doesn't have to be right. They tend to take over your life. So, you know, I was just going to say, for those who are quickly going to say, well, of course, well, look at what's around you and you'll see that it's a rather common thing. But anyway, back to this guy. What they do, of course, is they do a lot of, I was going to say, social work. It could be anything from feeding the poor, giving clothes, or a whole bunch of things. And as he says, you don't look, you help. And I like the way that was said, you know, because basically he's not saying that for those who are Christian or listening, he's not saying that you don't give out the gospel. You do, but I guess it's a bit of taking from the book of James, you know. And it doesn't mean that you don't give things out, but you start by feeding. You start by helping. And actions are important, but not the only thing. Anyway, like I said, I won't get into the theology of the thing, and I won't summarize the message more than that. But it was important, and I think it is important. You know, you can't just preach, and you can't just teach. You got to help. And at the same time, while you're helping, usually your mouth is for doing something. So you can talk, you can be who you are, you can say who you are. And you know what? I find that that's usually the best way. People usually are able to think after a point of pain that is past, people are able to think. And you know, don't force feed people in the sense of, well, both senses actually. So anyway, I guess I'll stop it there. I didn't want to get into too much, but I think that those of you who follow my vlogs know the way I am, and basically I was going to say it's just good to chat every now and then, and there's no reason for me not to say things like that, because after all, those of you who are listening to me, and when you vlog on your own, you do say what you think, and I like that. I think it's important for us to to say, you know, what we're thinking and to be honest with one another. Yeah. Okay. Well, now I've spoken long enough. So that'll be it. DC signing off. Take care, everybody, and well, have a good week. Bye bye.